Hi, I'm Davy. I'm awesome. And welcome to Davy's Awesome Movies, where I review the styles of movies that I love, the alternative, B-rated, cult-style flicks. And this week, reviewing a movie that was a cult hit the second it came out. And this movie came out in 1988. And it was written and directed by the legendary John Carpenter. Based on the short story, 8 O'Clock in the Morning, by Ray Nelson. Produced by Larry Franco, and made by Live Films and Larry Franco Productions, and distributed by Universal Pictures and Carloco. Ladies and gentlemen, John Carpenter's They Live. The movie opens with our lead, Nada, who is never actually named at all in the movie. He doesn't say his name, nobody asks his name. We just know that's his name because of the end credits. And he is played by Roddy Piper! And he's wandering around city to city, place to place, trying to find work. He's a drifter. He wanders around until the morning until he finds a construction site and asks if they've got any work available.
I got more tools.
Well, this is a union job.
Unions. I'm a little iffy about them. Like, I get they have a purpose, but I've been in jobs where I've been part of unions and it just seems like they take my money and don't really do anything. And they get all mad when you want them to do something. Like, I'm just one of those people, I want something for my money, so at some point I would call them and go like, hey, I'm sleepy, read me a story. He asks to see the shop steward, who apparently does give him a job. And it was at this scene that it started sparking rumors that they used a body double because of how cut he was. Which is ridiculous. He's a wrestler. Is it really hard to believe that a wrestler is in good shape? After work, he meets Frank, played by Keith David, who takes kindness on him and shows Nada a little homeless village that Frank himself is living at, where they do have makeshift showers and food. Frank is also a drifter, wandering around from place to place trying to find work after a steel mill he worked at in Detroit went under. Detroit is where his wife and kids live. He is angry at the system, feels that it's failed them, but Nada believes things will turn around.
I believe in America. I follow the rules.
Dream, 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 dream. That night, Nada notices something strange.
As long as they are not discovered, that is their primary method of survival.
It's not strange, the preacher has seen this episode. Nada notices Gilbert, the man who runs this homeless sanctuary, getting the priest out of there. Then the next morning, Nada follows Gilbert into the church that is also running this homeless sanctuary, and he also pulled the priest into, and notices that it is not a church, it's a front. This is where those weird broadcasts have been coming from. Gilbert and the others are talking about how these hacks are not lasting long enough.
Then we have to send the shipment out on the street.
Are they dealing drugs? Or even worse, are they pushing kale? Nada leaves, and as he's leaving, a helicopter is coming by, hovering around the church. Gilbert and the others see it too. Alright, I'm convinced it's definitely kale, because I am pretty sure in the 80s, that stuff was illegal. This all makes Nada very suspicious, especially as he sees them loading boxes from out of the church into a car and speeding away.
Leave it alone, man.
That's probably the best idea. But the chances of that happening are nada. That night, the police and all their SWAT and riot gear and everything come and swarm the church to clear it out. Seems a little extreme in my opinion, but, okay. Some people prefer arugula. But the police are not satisfied with just clearing out the church. They gotta clear out that homeless area too. Which is kind of messed up. They're all sleeping in tents. Isn't that punishment enough? As Nada is running away, he sees that the police found the bearded man, which is how he's casted, and the preacher. Nowadays, Nada would have pulled out his smartphone that he'd have even though he's homeless, and this would be viral. Now Nada's gotta get away. Turns out there are others in the building.
You go with them.
Well, look at it this way, kid. At least you got a little bit of screen time. The next morning, where all the homeless people are around scavenging for whatever of their remains they can find, Nada decides to go back into the church. Nada wants to get one of those boxes because he's a curious little cat, and he's just got to know what was in it. So after he gets one, he takes it out back, opens it up, and finds sunglasses! So that was the evil plot all along. The police and the government want us sun-blinded. He puts on a pair of glasses and he starts seeing everything that he was blinded to. A bunch of subliminal propaganda and those obey signs that you see all over the place nowadays. Everything telling people to work, slave, give in, watch TV, procreate. Basically saying we're all living like this because of subliminal messaging. But subliminal messaging doesn't work. Like, come on, people aren't going to fall for that. Especially not people watching this review. You're too smart for that. But again, he's walking around and seeing all these signs. Obey, work, conform, marry, reproduce. I married and reproduced because I wanted to. It's fun. Not only does he see all the signs and propaganda all over the place, but he takes a look at a businessman wearing a nice suit.
What's your problem?
Without sunglasses?
I said, what's your problem?
I can't decide which is uglier. He's walking around seeing more and more of these signs and more of these people who kind of look like skeleton fish. And he's telling regular people around him that when he takes them off, they look normal.
Put him back on. Formaldehyde face. That's what we got.
Do you ever think maybe Tony Robbins made those glasses for Hal? But to Nada's surprise,
I've got one that can see.
turns out Nada should have said nada. Not only her, but everybody in the store with the weird face is talking into their watches. The police show up and tell him, like, okay, you found out, but there is a way to handle this where everybody benefits and they don't have to hurt him. So they ask him to come with them so they can go somewhere quiet and talk. That's how Roddy Piper talks.
So you bastards die just like we do.
Well, I guess that makes things easier. Yeah. Nada takes their guns and goes into the bank.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
Do you like Fruit Stripe?
And I'm all out of bubblegum.
That line was all Roddy Piper. He actually came up with it and was going to use it in a wrestling promo, but he never got the opportunity. So then, when he was making this movie, he suggested it, and John Carpenter loved it, said do it. And not only did John Carpenter love it, so did Duke Nukem. That was the one line in that game that he did not steal from Ash. As he's killing the formaldehyde faces.
Wearing sunglasses.
That's odd. But now again, he needs to get away. And who better to politely ask for a ride from than Meg Foster? She plays Holly. After they get clear of the cops, Nada asks Holly to take him back to her place, but she doesn't want to.
I'm afraid I must insist.
Roddy, if you were still with us today, you could stay at my place. When they get back to Holly's, Nada is freaking out and trying to explain to her the things that he's been seeing with those glasses. But of course she doesn't believe him. When he finds out that she works at the TV station that's been broadcasting a lot of stuff, he tries to show her with the TV.
TV sets.
I don't even understand why she has a TV then. She clearly prefers books. Nada hobbles away as best he can to get back to the construction site and talk to Frank. But by now, Frank has already heard about the people he killed.
Not people.
But Frank doesn't want to hear it. He needs this job for his wife and kids.
So leave me alone!
I thought Spawn liked helping homeless people. Since Nada left his glasses at Holly's, before he was very rudely asked to leave, he goes back to the church and gets into a garbage truck trying to find more, which he does, because they made a lot of them. After he gets the glasses, he sees Frank.
1 week's pay. It's the best I can do.
That was very nice of Frank. And in exchange, Nada wants him to wear the glasses.
I'm telling you, you dumb son of a...
He doesn't want to.
Either put on these glasses or start eating that trash can.
I'd pick the glasses. So they fight! This fight scene was only supposed to be a 20-second fight scene. But Roddy Piper and Keith David decided to choreograph it, and to make it look real, most of this fighting was real. The only shots they faked were the shots to the groin and face. John Carpenter liked what they did so much that he actually put the whole fight scene in the movie intact. So it went from being a 20-second fight scene to a 5-minute and 20-second fight scene. And it's awesome. Like, obviously, I can't show the whole 5 minutes and 20 seconds. But I encourage you to go check it out, because it's one of the best fight scenes ever. And as a result of it...
Put the glasses on!
Seriously, dude, just put the glasses on. Finally, Nada forces him to put the glasses on.
Look at them, they're everywhere!
So what now, Frank?
Brother, life's a bitch.
I feel like Roddy Piper in this movie gives Stallone a run for his money. So Frank and Nada each put on a pair of glasses and go find a rundown hotel, place where they don't ask questions, and get a room, and come up with a plan.
We gotta find the people who made these.
And see if they also make hats. But luckily for Frank and Nada,
Frank?
The people who made them come and find them and give them the location to a secret meeting. The meeting is a group of people who have seen the truth and know about these people. And one of them has something new for Frank and Nada.
They won't hurt. There's less interference.
I'd stick with the glasses. Obviously. Gilbert gets up and addresses the meeting about how these beings are using humans as livestock, keeping them at the bottom, forcing them to work for them and slave for them as they change the Earth's atmosphere to their own atmosphere. And they're trying to clear the planet. The humans that find out about this, most of them, they are being offered deals to get richer and live better than the slave humans. I kind of feel like if that really happened, then that would be the majority of people who found out. They would just sell out and conform. Some people argue with me that no, they wouldn't, but I'm like, did you not see what happened during COVID?
You shut up!
Gilbert also tells him that the signal that is blocking everybody's view of the real world is coming from the cable station.
The signal's coming from somewhere else.
What's Holly doing there? Holly tells Nada that she found the glasses at her home and used them and saw what he saw. And now she's apologizing.
Can we just...
I mean...
No!
Sorry. I don't like that this is happening to you guys. I just really like a good explosion. The police are there on a mission to wipe out everybody in this meeting. And they're doing a decent job of that too. To get away, Frank messes with one of the watches that somebody at the meeting stole from the aliens.
Attention.
I guess that's how they disappeared. Not teleportation, it just forms a little hole. It's like seeing a magician's trick. It's not as exciting once you realize the bullet was in his mouth the whole time. They end up in a hidden underground lair where they have tricorders from Ghostbusters. And they stumble upon a black tie affair.
How you doing, boys? I didn't know you'd been recruited.
It's one of the drifters. He cleaned up nicely. After the drifter shows them all around, gives them a tour because he's convinced that they just must have sold out like he did, they inform him that they did not. And they inform him very aggressively. Frank and Nada are angry at him for helping these aliens oppress their own people.
We all sell out every day. Might as well be on the winning team.
Oh my god, he's a Facebook fact checker.
Oh my, I'm afraid.
See ya, boys.
Yeah, you better disappear. They storm the newsroom and just start shooting. They're trying to find the signal. But Nada is not only trying to find the signal, he's trying to find something else.
Do you know Holly Thompson?
Give him time, everybody. He'll figure it out. They are heading for the roof, but the aliens are a little busy multitasking. They are not only looking for Frank and Nada, but they are also apparently hunting ghosts. As they're fighting their way through...
Holly!
Hold on, it's coming.
Let's go!
And... Am I supposed to be shocked? Because even when I first saw this many years ago, I wasn't.
Frank! You and Holly clear?
At this point, I'm pretty sure Nada is the only one that didn't see that coming.
Don't interfere, you can't win.
Seriously, Nada, if you had seen Masters of the Universe, you would know not to trust her.
Duh!
But Nada has a little something up his sleeve. And now the satellite! Nada dies. But now, the signal is gone, so everybody around is seeing everything. They are seeing the aliens, they are seeing the signs, they are seeing what's been hidden from their eyes the whole time. Within a second, everything is unveiled.
Hey, what's wrong, baby?
What's wrong is we never got a sequel. So there you have it, that's the awesome cult classic from 1988, They Live. Starring the late, oh-so-great Rowdy Roddy Piper. This movie did have instant success, as it had a $3 million budget and did $13 million in the box office. Probably would have done more, but it didn't have a huge theatrical release. However, once it went to video, it just soared. As a matter of fact, there's still a bunch of pop culture t-shirts, posters that have the Obey thing on it. And most people who are wearing those shirts, getting those posters, have no idea it came from this movie nowadays. For the most part, critics and audiences both love this movie. It got some bad reviews. Some people felt the story was a little rushed. Some people felt it was just too cheaply done. Then again, I think they need to remember that's because they didn't have the money to not do it cheaply. But it came out really good. Like I said, instant cult success. Originally for the role of Nada, John Carpenter wanted to give it to Kurt Russell. However, he decided that because he had already worked with Kurt Russell on Escape from New York and Big Trouble in Little China and the 1979 movie Elvis, he didn't want to seem like that was the only person he was ever going to cast for anything, so he decided to get somebody else. And then after seeing WrestleMania 3, he decided on Roddy Piper. Even the timing of this movie coming out, they had to postpone, and for good reason. It was originally supposed to come out October 21st, 1988, but that would have been the same week as Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. So, John Carpenter decided to push it back a little, which was a good idea. And plus, I'm sure he had a little affection for the whole Halloween thing since he started it. As far as Roddy Piper goes, this was his actual first movie. It led to him doing more movies, but I don't think he ever did anything nearly as successful as this. After this, he basically became a B-movie actor / wrestler until he just went back to wrestling full-time. But he actually quit wrestling to be in this movie. Vince McMahon did not want him to do this role. Roddy Piper says because that's just how much of a control freak Vince McMahon is. That he didn't mind him being in a movie so long as it was a movie that he presented to him. So in order to do it, Roddy Piper quit WWE altogether. The movie came out, it was a big success. Of course, Vince McMahon hired him right back. At that point, it would have been stupid not to. Because at that point, he comes back and he's twice as famous as he was before he left. Kind of wish it would have gotten him some better movie roles, though. Don't get me wrong. We all know I loved Roddy Piper in Hell Comes to Frogtown, but like I said, this was the biggest movie he ever did. Roddy Piper was even impressed at the character of John Carpenter, though. For the scenes with homeless people, John Carpenter brought in some actual homeless people as extras, paid them, and fed them lunch, which he thought was a very classy thing for John Carpenter to do. And it really was. However, John Carpenter wanted Roddy Piper to go out there and promote this film by getting political and talking against the Reagan era that was going on at that time, but Roddy Piper kind of toned that down. Of course, talked about, classes and how people are being held down, but wouldn't really blame Reagan considering he later admitted he liked Reagan. Now, some people have read too much in this movie. They talk about it like it's trying to tell us the truth of what's really happening. I don't think there are aliens controlling us, but obviously there are things in place that hold people down, and it's really hard to get out of that. Not impossible, but very, very difficult. But this movie is a blue-collar, working man's type of movie, so if you're that person, you'll definitely love the movie They Live. So if you haven't seen it yet, then do yourself a favor, get out there and find They Live. It is a fantastic movie. It's one of my favorites. So there you have it. That's my movie review this week. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you did, make sure to hit like, hit subscribe, hit the little bell so you get notifications when I post new videos, and leave a comment. Tell me what you thought of They Live. Love you guys.